The Lib Dems are gathering here in Brighton, celebrating a recent by-election win, but struggling to shake off dual scandals involving the former Cabinet Minister Chris Huhne and the former Chief Executive Lord Rennard. Within the last few minutes, Clegg has attempted to draw a line under the controversies with a passionate speech, admitting the Lib Dems let down the party's women and vowing that it wouldn't happen again. But despite the mea culpa of sorts, as our political correspondent Michael Crick now reports, many activists here are blaming the media and not the party for their troubles.
The rain surely made it worse, for this can't have been the ideal time for Clegg to expose his party to yet more media scrutiny.
Is this a party in crisis, Mr. Clegg?
No, not at all. No, really very pleased to be here in Brighton. Hope the weather cheers up a bit, and you know, I think everyone's really looking forward to gathering together to celebrate this extraordinary by-election victory in Eastleigh. The party's in good spirits. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Good spirits, and yet two of Mr. Clegg's former close colleagues, Chris Huhne and Vicky Pryce, face jail. Another, Lord Rennard, faces a barrage of allegations.
You need to hear a sense of shame, Mr. Clegg. What did your wife tell you about Mr. Huhne?
But a few minutes ago, at a rally to mark International Women's Day, Mr. Clegg did tackle one problem: Lord Rennard. His party, he said, had to take a long, hard look in the mirror.
Harassment must have no place in the Liberal Democrats. Abuse of power and position must have no place in the Liberal Democrats. Our party should be better than that.
It would be very good if
earlier, Jo Swinson, who was asked 5 years ago by Clegg to investigate Rennard, gave a sign of the tensions here.
Have you read my statement? So you will know it's very clear. I did take those issues seriously. I've made that absolutely clear from the word go. This is an issue which is very sensitive, very important to the people who confided in me. And I think it would be helpful if you could treat it with a little bit more respect. Thank you.
Did the leadership know about those complaints?
Ordinary delegates, too, are angry with the media.
Is there a sense of crisis about this conference?
Not in the slightest.
Not in the slightest. You've got three senior figures in big trouble.
No.
Chris Rennard.
Done with, dealt with.
Chris Huhne.
No.
Vicky Pryce.
Convicted, will be sentenced, move on.
Isn't this an extraordinary complacency you're displaying?
No, I think it's a rebuttal of the media feeding frenzy attempts. I mean...
So it's our fault?
No, but you won't let the story go, and it's finished, it's done.
These were all senior Liberal Democrats?
Yes, and you keep bringing them up every day in the week to see if you can do real bodily harm to the Liberal Democrat Party.
And it's nothing like as bad as the 1970s, when the party's former leader, Jeremy Thorpe, was tried for attempted murder. And in this Liberal broadcast from 1974, look who interviewed him.
Party political broadcast.
Well, Michael Crick joins me now. Well, tell us a bit more about what the Lib Dem leader said in his speech, which ended just 10 minutes ago.
Well, I mean, this normally at the start of the Lib Dem Spring Conference, the leader delivers a big, rousing speech. Today, it was very different indeed. The atmosphere here today is very, very different. It's almost as if it's a family celebration party, all to do with Eastleigh, but on the day when they've learnt a couple of grandparents have died. And so what happened is Clegg split his speech tonight into two. We'll hear the Eastleigh bit later on, but we've just had the addressing of one of the problems he's facing with at the moment, which is the Lord Rennard scandal. And Clegg said that the party had to take a long, hard look in the mirror about sexual harassment. The fact that the women involved feel let down. They deserve to have their concerns and allegations examined thoroughly and properly dealt with. But clearly, that has not always been the case. We let people down, Liberal Democrats, he said, and that is not acceptable to me. But also, interestingly, he came fairly close to saying that Lord Rennard had done wrong. He said, I will drive whatever changes are necessary to stop this ever happening again. Harassment must have no place in the Liberal Democrats. Abuse of power and position must have no place in the Liberal Democrats. I won't tolerate it. Our party should be better than that.
And he was pretty frank about sexism in Parliament more generally, wasn't he? But it was really a bit of a mea culpa by the party. What about his personal responsibility, though?
Well, at no point did he say sorry. He didn't apologise. There were hints in that direction, but he didn't use the word sorry, and perhaps he felt that having said sorry over tuition fees last year was enough. And he didn't explain in any great detail his role in this affair, what he knew and what he didn't know, when he did it, the inquiries and so on. So it was limited in its scope. But we may hear more later this evening from Jo Swinson, the Women's Minister, when she addresses the rally.
And what about the media? Because in your piece, it seemed to be a lot of the activists were pretty cross with the media. Was that justified in any way?
Yes, it's absolutely extraordinary, this Liberal Democrat Spring Conference. Totally unlike a Liberal Democrat conference I've ever known before. It reminds me of the Labour Party in the early 1980s, where you'd turn up and they'd all turn on you and say, it's all you, the media's fault. And there is, amongst many of the delegates you talk to here, an atmosphere that this is all mischief-making by us, that Rennard and Huhne and Vicky Pryce wouldn't have got into trouble if it wasn't for the media. No sort of sense that actually they may have done wrong in their own right. A sense really of denial over this. And it's extraordinary just quite how many people seem to be taking that line here.
Michael, thanks very much. Back to you, John, in the studio. More from here later, though.